contact!
How deep can you plunge into the darkness?
Through the dark veil of space, time.
I wish we could have joined you sooner.
This is Ewok Chapter.
Time is short. There is much to be done.
The wait ends now.
All right, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the Warp Chatter podcast, the podcast dedicated to talking about Horus Heresy Legion's digital card game, Horus Heresy lore, Warhammer 40,000, everything that encompasses. I am your host, Scuff D. This is a podcast by players for players, and tonight we have got two players joining us to discuss the last wave of TitanDeath expansion, the neutral cards. The neutral cards that have been added to the game. We've got neutral missions. We've got some really interesting tools for cultists and Solar Auxilia and vehicle decks, so we're going to be talking about that. But before we do, really quick, I want to do player introductions. We've actually got two players joining us from the Reddit community, which I kind of doubled up because I figured you guys are both from Reddit. It would be good to have dual Reddit, I don't know, with listeners, users. You guys are just active Redditors?
Sure, we'll say active. I don't know if I really want to be associated with the Reddit as a whole, though.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, just active Reds. There you go. You guys are active Reds. No. Well, join us today.
This is the term he's coined.
Yeah. We've got S.Striker and we've got Tryhard.
Yes.
Hey, what's up?
All right, welcome.
We had you before, right, Tryhard? I sometimes get
yes.
Yeah. This is episode 3 for me.
3? Oh,
yeah.
Yes, it has been. I forgot if it was 2 or 3. Good to see you again. Right,
yes.
Hear you, I guess.
Here.
Yeah, it's good to meet up with you guys once more.
In the IFTR studios,
changes.
We can see and hear sometimes. You can see emotions sometimes. But yeah. So this is Tryhard's third time, and then this is S.Striker's first time on the call. So
yep, first time.
Excellent. Well, before we get into talking about the topic of the hour of the evening, the new cards, let's have you guys tell us about yourself. We'll start with Tryhard. You've been here before, but for those who didn't listen to you or catch you the first time around, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Right. So I post as Tryhard_3 on Reddit. I'm responsible for a bunch of faction guides and different reviews of the single-player campaigns that have, when I first started, I was like, I'll just, post these and get some feedback and see what's up. And now I'm getting people, like, if I wait 2 or 3 days, that are, like, pinging me on Discord and being like, where's the guide? So I'm like, that's very gratifying in itself. But in the last couple months, it's been 2 very annoying PvE campaigns in a row for people. So it's been, I think, a little bit more of a sore spot than usual. But I got started in 2020, right around the pandemic, and went, this will be a good hobby. And now I've somehow convinced myself to try and write a faction review of like every single faction, which even going at like 2 or 3 a month, I'm falling behind. So it's a lot of work, but it's been good. It takes some research, especially the ones that I don't really play personally. So I'll be sitting there and breaking down videos and trying to figure out what different streamers are doing and why, and then comparing against my own notes. So that's kind of the process there. And then posting the guide, getting some feedback in terms of like, this is great, or hey, you forgot about this combo, and just kind of creating a more complete record of what people can do if they want to get into the game. For me, it's very newbie focused. I don't try and get too much into like, this is your top 10 deck, because that's not really my jam anyway. But people who are just trying to figure out how to collect the increasingly large amount of cards and get somewhere effectively and not kind of burn out first in the race to 2,500 and trying to figure out what can go into High Terra and what can't. So that's my story, so to speak.
Okay, all right. Well, and when you're talking too about those, like the top 10 decks, those change all the time. I mean, you can talk about it.
Yes.
Strategies might be good, but like when they have balance patches, metas, like that's a flavor of the month thing. It's the same thing like for events. Like the campaign lasts longer. The campaigns can go like, was it 3 weeks, 21 days or something like that? And
Like that.
And for the most part, there is a strategy to them because everybody has to deal with the same 3 warlords, or at least the same 3 legs in the final campaign boss. But that's something that I had early on when I first started doing videos with the standard events. And I realized, like, it's a lot of work to do a video breaking down all the event warlords and like these are the good decks to pick or whatever. When really after 2 weeks that event goes away and the content is it's meaningless except for in that moment. Whereas if you're talking about at least a faction and hey, this is all the things that the faction can do. These are the cards that work. Like a couple of those pieces might change for the most part, but the heart of it is going to stay the same, and that is still going to be a useful tool versus like, here's this one warlord that is really powerful. Here's this great 20 card deck. And then, next month balance patch comes out and that warlord or 3 of those cards that are part of a key combo get changed. And now it's not worth looking at,
Yeah. And part of the trick there is there are cards that are good in event and cards that are terrible in constructed. Both. So in terms of like it being, nothing is really evergreen in the main meta. There's stuff that has stuck around for 6 months or a year, but there's also like every month there's something rising and falling based on how people are reacting to it. So yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, S.Striker, how about you tell us about yourself?
All right. I've been playing Horus Heresy Legions for a little over a year now. I did play just for a tiny brief bit of time when the game first came out, but then I hopped back in and have actually started seriously playing for a little over a year. I usually hover somewhere around 2,000, so I wouldn't call myself like new, but I'm pretty inexperienced, we'll say. Not too knowledgeable about the highest play, that kind of thing. I got into Warhammer from my dad, who introduced me through the Dawn of War series. I've hang around and watched the podcast a bit. So I'm just excited to be here.
Well, that's the first time I've heard somebody like a generational introduction through Dawn of War specifically, as opposed to like your dad being like, hey, here's my Space Marine models, or here's my, my Space Hulk box game set. He was like, here's Dawn of War. That's pretty cool.
Every time I just do another tally for the Dawn of War boys.
I
respect it, I do, but it's another.
I think it ranks up. Like I always see Game of the Year edition, because it's on Steam. It's like Game of the Year edition, and I always think like Dawn of War is so much better than just a Game of the Year. It's like a game of a generation, really.
Well, yeah, it was a great RTS.
Yeah.
It can't. The second one was okay, and then the third one was bad, so it kind of just died.
Yeah, but
it's unfortunate.
That first box, that first cutscene, the first art, the first time you hear the battle cries, and the first time you get a squad that breaks morale, it just was such a cool game.
Uh-huh. They're hiding in metal boxes.
I think my favorite thing is when you see a giant gang pile of troops and you just hear "Witness your doom" and you're not even sure where it's coming from at that point. And that's fantastic.
Well, I remember when I played that game, because it had a lot of nuances that like I was always like, you play Warcraft or Starcraft, you're like, oh, it's a big thing, I've got 30 little things, we can take it out. And the first time I encountered a vehicle and I didn't have any like missile launchers, and it just wrecked I had like 30 Marines, and it was like a killer can. I'm like, oh my god, this thing is like, it's a vehicle. Like you need anti-vehicle. Like the game was designed that way specifically. Like you battle the Squiggoth, and you're like, oh man, this thing, like on the tabletop, a Squiggoth was laughable, which was a shame because it's beastly. Yeah. It's a big beastly model, but like stats wise, like, yeah, you can just rapid fire that with a bunch of bolters. But in the game, it was much more representative of like a giant croco dinosaur thing.
I feel like that changed as the expansions went on, but it stayed the same for the relic units. Or eventually, like, a Predator could still be destroyed by, like, a heavy bolter. But the minute you get to the squig off, it's still like, okay, all production goes to anti-vehicle for the next 30 minutes, or my base is gone. That's something I got to give credit to Dawn of War 2. They got that really right, where a single Land Raider can run through an army.
Yes.
If you don't bring anti-vehicle.
As it should.
As it should. I'll give credit where credit's due. Dawn of War 2 was also pretty good. There's a, what's it called? Elite mod rebalance of the game that actually be fun. Shout out to that for anyone listening.
What was it, Joe, with your introduction being through Dawn of War, was your favorite Space Marines the Blood Ravens, or did you deviate to a different army?
So, I'm always a big fan of the Blood Ravens, being, the first ones I was introduced to. But my favorite Legion currently is the White Scars.
Good one.
Somewhere within the past year, I watched the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast, and they talked about Jagatai Khan and the White Scars, and I'd recently picked up the Warhawk book from Siege of Terra series, and
get that one.
They're really cool. I'm a big fan of the Mongolian vibe and the motorcycles and stuff.
Nice.
They're a good one.
Well, cool. Yeah.
They get not enough love.
No, they don't. They really they're on bikes or like that's. I mean, they're a founding legion. They've served their dues. They defended the palace, the Terran palace during the heresy. And there's nothing cooler than having an army that is like bikes and speeders, mostly bikes.
Yeah. To be fair, it is their character now, just to be the Forgotten Legion, so it fits.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Jagatai gets some attention for being one of the few Primarchs have common sense, but that's as much as they get in terms of attention.
To be fair, every Primarch gains it and loses it in equal measure, depending on the scene.
Well, that's true.
Multiple writer syndrome. Don't you gotta love it?
Yeah, I think with some of them, like, they just like, hey, here's some general character traits, and then depending on whoever's, like, are they the main character, then they're going to be doing a little bit more. Are they not, then they're probably just going to fall back onto their classic tropes, like, we need somebody to be wacky and crazy and be a villain for a couple books. All right, well, Kurz is your man. We need somebody to be a little bit tactical and turn the situation around. And guess what? It's Gilliman. Or Dorn, I don't know. I'm not into the. I'm about 40 pages into the Solar War, so I'm really looking forward to finishing the last leg of it. So Warhawk is on my list, but it's down there a couple books.
Right. Fair. Well, I didn't read the whole series to get here. I just picked it up because I was interested in White Scars.
Yeah,
I'm not reading 58 books to get there.
Well, no, and especially with the White Scars, you would have to read at least like 20 before you even get to them, and then you don't see them again for like another 20. It's it's a shame. I mean, they're like the White Scars and the Dark Angels. They have a couple books, but they're not at the forefront of the story. So if you have a favorite, or like for me, I was at the Imperial Fist, it's like I know where they'll be at the end of it, but I got to go through all these books and I don't get to see them a whole lot. Like I might see an Imperial Fist if there's a short story, or for whatever reason they throw like some random fist in on a planet and he's like, hey, Iron Warriors, oh, I'm dead.
A random member of the Crusader host or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or I guess not Crusader host for Imperial Fist, because Rogel Dorn kind of went, all the other Crusader hosts are guilty, except mine. They're obviously loyal. That's a fun book. Can't remember his name. Outcast Dead?
Outcast.
That's the one with Kaiser Lane?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's simultaneously fun and very dumb. So the best kind.
It was early Heresy series. Good enough where it was like setting a setting, and at the same time, like, early enough where you could be like, does that really count? Like, maybe we can ignore some of that. I like the whole point of the book, though. The ending of it, really, where, the Emperor shouldn't be a spoiler at this point. I think it was like book 6 or 7.
It's like 10 years old.
But the Emperor basically is like, hey, I can't be omniscient and omnipotent at the same time. I can only know so much. So if you could, keep that secret in your head, that'd be great. It was the first of several pegs that like basically give you the idea that the Emperor's not, he's infallible. He's fallible, I should say. And he's aware of it too. Like it's not like, he's very aware as far as how that goes. He just doesn't need anybody else to know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It also has a samurai hunting Astartes. So that is that one, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the same book.
Yep.
Well, okay. It has the last samurai of Terra hunting Astartes, which is already a dumb enough premise where I can't really say no to it. It's just goofy enough where I gotta love it.
It's kind of the fun of books before they've got the whole like story Bible nailed down, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of
get weird stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of open territory, like just make stuff up. What's it gonna matter in 10,000 years? None of these guys are gonna be around. Like, go wild.
Well, there'll be a few. Abaddon, you bastard. I so can't believe they made this really cool character and they hyped him up and then made him fight Abaddon in a duel to the death. A character we know survives 10,000 years.
Well, that just that just made it really good. It's like, oh, okay. All right, well, we know what happens to you. Although, I think they left his fate pretty interesting, because I still don't fully understand how you get you take a loyalist who gets killed, and then, like, well after he's been dead, somehow corrupt his soul or body and turn it into a demon? I don't understand that. I don't get Tormageddon on. I don't understand how that works.
Tormageddon is fucking... I don't even understand him either. I'm just gonna say he's Tormageddon.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's the warp. It doesn't need reason.
I think that's really it. I think at the end of the day, it's like, listen, we need demons. Warp magic. There you go.
Well, I mean, there is that blood angel running around who is the soul of Meros, and the body of Meros and the soul of a loyalist. Red Angel is a weird fucking demon. He's two demons in one.
So is he like Gotenks or Vegito? Gogeta?
I hate every part of what you're saying. Is that a viable answer?
If you fuse the Red Angel and the Sanguinor, do you get the Raguinor?
That would be the equivalent of
the Sanguinangel.
Yeah, no, that's what I'll give it to, because it's just dumb enough to work.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure their power level's over 9,000 by far. Like, if you get fusion, you're not even doing power levels anymore. You're just stacking power levels on power levels. But
they stopped doing power levels in the first season.
Oh yeah. So I mean, once they got rid of the scouters, there was just no point. It was just like, sense you're strong. Yeah. I am strong. I sense you're strong. Yes, let's fight. Okay. 10 episodes later, let's fight. That sounds like that's what we were going to talk about doing, and then they spend some more episodes. But we're not talking about Dragon Ball Z. We're going to be talking about we're talking about TitanDeath. Wave 4 neutrals of TitanDeath. Those actually, as of this recording, those cards were just available this morning. By the time you hear this, you've probably had about a week to play the event, spend some gold, get some of the new cards. Hopefully you picked up some stuff. But this week we had spoilers for neutral missions, which are pretty cool. We got a lot of support for the cultists and for Solar Auxilia and just infantry in general. I don't know where you guys want to start.
I mean, we may as well start with Imperial Army, because they're in the first in the list, right?
It's first one on the list.
All right. Well, let's start with the Imperial Army. Let's digest. Now, obviously, I think they got the less of the cards. I think Chaos ended up getting the bulk of the cards for the neutrals in this one. But the cards that they got were I really like. I don't dislike any of them. I can't. I think I might say that with like all the things. But I mean, really, what are your guys' thoughts on the new stuff? New Epic, the mission.
My biggest issue I can see with it is Junior Medicae, simply just screwing with Mossad.
Yeah, that it becomes a soft nerf to Mossad's chances of getting something decent, because if he generates 3 of those and he doesn't have any wounded troops, right, they're not going to do anything, and then they're just 1/2s on the board. So that is a possibility.
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, the 4 energy common isn't great in my opinion.
You're talking about the one that gives all your troops frontline and then gives you infantry plus. That's a great card. What are you talking about?
Terran defenses.
No. I mean, I like it if I'm running like a zoo deck, but a majority of the time, I'm spending 4 energy to give one of my troops frontline. Nowadays it's hard to keep like goods. It's hard to stick big things. I'll be able to stick my smaller things, and I'll play that in a cultist deck.
It's not.
But sometimes I just need that one boy.
Yeah, I mean that's a great card for the Creatures with all the cultists.
I've had hell keeping anything on the board lately. So I look
know.
at that, I'm like, I already can't keep things on board. I can't use that.
What are you running into that's destroying your board so easily?
Everything on ladder right now is board destructing.
Yeah, the entire expansion seems almost based, not the entire expansion, but several of the new sets are based around just maintaining spammy boards. So it depends on what you're playing in terms of how sticky it'll be, but at least Imperials seem to like trying to stay around and be as annoying as possible, whereas cultists are just trying to die.
Yeah.
So,
well, and then you've got, I mean, like I said, like if you've got that in Lucretia and you've already running like a mini deck, then you've got a bunch of 1/1s or 1/2s that become 2/3s with frontline that maybe have backlash, draw a card. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter because she can buff the ones that survive. That's just one style of deck. I don't think it's a necessary card in Masad, but if you've got cultists in your Wordbearers deck, it suddenly becomes a card. And Wordbearers don't have a whole lot of frontline, and suddenly they can get multiple frontlines without having to have that 6-cost Space Marine troop. You can just play that from hand and get that. Or if you've got Salamanders, and maybe you want to do a mission Salamanders, or you know what, like you don't have to have infantry. It just makes all your stuff frontline. So hey, I managed to play some vehicles with the Iron Hands vehicle mission, and I dropped down 3 or 4 low-cost vehicles, and I play that, and all of a sudden I've got these. It's better than the Storm. I mean, it's arguable.
Not saying much.
The Storm is just the best card ever, but it's one of those things where, like, if you're playing, if you're thinking about it, or you are playing where you are in a position to have multiple troops on the board. Even if it's just one turn where you drop 3 or 4 troops that are cheap, if they're infantry, they're cheap, and then they're going to get +1/+1 on top of frontline. And that could be, especially for somebody who doesn't have Ornithop's Barge, it's a viable, common, I want to say replacement, but an alternative to an Ornithop's Barge.
That's what I was going to mention Ornithop's Barge, because the way I see it, at least with how I play, is Defiant Stand and Ornithop's Barge can just replace this card completely. Mm-hmm. So I don't see a reason to bring it. It's not to say that I don't see a deck for it to be used. If you're pumping out troops like no tomorrow, and you're juicing them boys, it's going to work for you. But I usually only have 1 or 2 troops ever stick on my board.
One of my concerns with this card is that, especially with the Solar Auxilia things it was put with, certainly you can obviously use it outside of the Solar Auxilia, but with the other cards it was used with, especially like you're mentioning the Medicae Orderlies, is that there's some stuff you don't want frontline on your board, stuff you want to keep around that has either like resolution or active effects, stuff like that. And all that's going to be targeted immediately.
You mentioned something about that. I forgot they also added a card in here that counteracts the 4 energy completely, and it's their epic card. The Chief Medicae, I think his name is?
Yes. Yep.
Well, it makes so when your friendly infantry takes damage, it gains stealth. Well, the front line doesn't mean shit if I can ping it for 1 and it turns invisible. So
yeah, he can become a liability very quickly if you've got an Ornithop's Barge full of frontline and you have him on the board and your opponent plays a Informant Network. You're in a bad position.
Yeah, because it would only. You're right, because it would only turn invisible after the damage. So suddenly, you can now just hit him.
Yeah.
And his entire wall of bodies did nothing.
The upside, I mean, obviously, the obvious strategy for that is he buys you a turn, maybe where your opponent can't get rid of those, the Marcus Valerius or Jubok or whatever, like they deal 1 damage and now it's protected for a turn. And that's not a bad idea. I think if you're playing a deck that is going to want to run frontline, you probably aren't going to want to have him in there. But if you're playing a deck that has infantry that you would like to keep alive, or troops that you'd like to stick around just for a little bit longer that have got other uses, maybe First Strike or something where they've got an awesome like Duke Mortar just have an ability to bounce. It's not a bad way because now your opponent's got to deal with that Medicae before they deal with anything else because he won't stealth himself, but. Yeah, it's kind of a weird double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got vehicles. I don't think there's much to say about vehicles.
No, I do like that
they're an Imperial Army Nutri vehicle.
I like that there's Solar Auxilia. I think we could use some more
They
Solar
are.
Auxilia vehicles.
I'm happy that the Solar Auxilia, but I feel like they follow the trend of all Imperial Army vehicles, where they're vehicles. Either they're really good, or they exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's kind of everything to a certain extent. I'm dubious of like 4 and 5e buff cards of almost any kind. I'm like, why don't I just play a troop? That's fine. What people end up doing is like, if the buff card gives them Survivor, yes, they put it in, and if it doesn't, it's basically killing their tempo in serious matchups. So I don't know. That's kind of my early take on this.
I mean, there's a lot of factions where a 4 energy-ish card can go really good. It just really depends on the deck style. We haven't even covered Mission.
No, we've talked about the other cards in the Imperial Army, but we have not talked about the mission yet.
I mean,
The missions doesn't seem incredibly difficult to complete. It doesn't seem like it'll be one of those ones where it's just like never triggers.
well, I'll go back to the thing. Things don't stick easily, and the problem with Solar Auxilia troops is minus our boy Joven, none of them have stealth. And a lot of them have low HP, and they're always built around the, like Marcus or something, to keep them alive. So you're really only probably going to get Solar Pattern if you proc it reliably around like 9 energy. Like 8, I want to say 8 or 7 at the earliest, but yeah, 8 at 9 energy. I don't think that'll do good for them, because a lot of Imperial Army Warlords are 30 HPs. I can see some Zoo decks possibly completing this, but maybe even Masad can get a turn to take down simply off of his special, but it ain't going to be easy to get. I haven't seen many people try it yet, so we'll have to see.
Yeah,
Right, of course, we haven't seen any of these in action yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is just as of today. And I don't have any of the new missions. Unfortunately, I didn't pick any of those up. I got the Legion Custodes mission for my crates, and I'm not going to chase it. I'll just pick them up when they're in the shop. But it wouldn't be so bad, I think, if it was just like 1 Solar Auxilia of a cost, but you need to have 2 or more in play 3 times, and that is difficult. 1 troop you can get to survive. That's not too difficult. You can buff it, you can stealth it, you can ward it, you can duplicitous. 2 is tricky. 3 times in a row, you can snowball, and if you're at that point, then it's entirely possible that you've already gotten a good foothold that you need. I don't feel like it's a win more. I do like the fact that it is aimed for Solar Auxilia specifically. So if you're going to do the mission, that's really what you're going for. And if you want to do Solar Auxilia, now you've got a tool that can possibly reward you more for doing what you wanted to do. But I do think that it is a tricky trigger to get.
It's not like the Orphan of War one, which is very similar. It's just outnumbering them, but they got stealth. That's a key word that makes a lot of these easier to do, or even possible in some cases, is stealth. Or even Survivor.
Yeah, or because it's a neutral mission, right? You can put it on any warlord, so you can get those really nice support warlords going on it. And
yeah, you can put it on any warlord.
Double mission in some cases if you're crazy enough. So
I'm thinking though, I really can't think of a faction that could pull this off better than one of the Imperial armies. I guess something like Other is the one that buffs HP. I can never remember the Spacefold name.
Yeah, that's what they're weird.
Yeah, he can up their HP, but really he's spending energy to do it, and then there's just tactics that can be used to stop him. So
I would think I'm going back to orphans as I speak at the moment, but
Cash or Brantlin?
You can basically you can use the Survivor Warlord pretty effectively here.
That's who I was thinking towards.
Yeah, Tarsa.
Yeah, you can double up with Salamanders pretty hard, because even if you're not playing the support Salamander, the guy who gives infantry buffs, you can throw out endless front lines on Salamanders. So that'd be pretty fun.
Well, yeah, but then
slower than I'll get out, but yeah.
But then the problem still draws. I'm putting out these Salamander front lines, but I still have to find a way to play 2 Solar Auxilia troops and have both of them survive. That's the part where Like, if it was just infantry, I could see this a lot more possible, but that it specifies Solar Auxilia, and I need 2 of them, it just doesn't seem worth it. Like, the reward is nice, but...
Well, the reward's nice,
Yeah,
especially when one of those Solar Auxilia things that you're generating is one of those large vehicles, right? And then you just gotta
if I got the Stormblade, I'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean that's a really nice reward for what you get. The trick is definitely getting it, and I think it's possible. I just don't know. I don't know how frequently you'll see it, or in how, like, I mean, at the earliest, there's not any Solar Auxilia that you can play like doubles of in a turn, like turn 1, and then have survive. There's no Solar Auxilia that cost 1, right? So you'd have to have an energy ramp warlord. You'd have to have Lucretia, and then she could drop both of the auxiliary primus turn 1. But then why? Why would she? Right? Like, then those are just gone. Or double forward section, I guess, and then both have to survive, and then maybe you can start ticking it off. That seems like really too impractical.
The key here is you only have to do it 3 times.
Yes.
So you can do it semi-easily behind an Ornitov's barge, things like that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think
you don't necessarily need to, like, spend all of your deck slots on the deck trying to figure out how to protect, like, a stupid weenie card.
No.
All game.
No, but I still think the issue is simply outnumbering, like, not really outnumbering, but having 2 troops at the same time when their costs aren't really useful for that. Because, yeah, I'm not putting out 2 forward sections turn 1. That's not going to help me. That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
At 4 energy with Lucretia, I could put out 2 Katashiros, or Kashiro? I don't remember its name. You could put out 2 of them. They got, Katsuhiro. They got Survivor, so they'll stick. Possibly. There's just a lot of things. Most mission decks that don't do good are the ones where your opponent can actively counter.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to change what they can just see what you're doing and stop. Like Ultramarines, they're gonna put out a Astartes. You can't prevent them from playing an Astartes. With this, I just kill one of your troops. I don't even have to take out both of them. I take out one of them. Your mission's not ticking down. I just don't see this one being great. Like, the effect's good, but a good effect can be held back by a bad condition. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Sergeant Cork might also not be a bad warlord to try to do this with, because he can protect his guys if they don't have too much removal. But obviously, there's going to be a lot of removal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Does he feel nothing?
He's a good boy. We got Imperial Army off of the docket, unless anyone has any parting thoughts about him.
Intriguing, but maybe not good. We don't know.
We got a Stormblade in the game, so that's neat. I was wondering when we'd get one of those. I think that's the first one, right? Well, they have 2. This might just be actually completely forgetting again. I think there might be 2 Stormblade Solar Auxilias. The Stormhammer.
Yeah, you got the Stormhammer and you've got the Stormblade. Well, there's the Mechanicum.
Yeah, now that you mentioned Mechanicum,
I mean, you gotta talk about it.
We gotta. They have deep sea diver suit guys.
Yeah, I saw that, and
ridiculous.
I was like, really? That's what they look like? The webway, they builders?
Webway builders.
Webway builders is like,
crew for the webway.
Is that what the Emperor was like? Ah, yes. In order to build the webway, I must use the most cutting edge technology from 1910.
Get really Bioshock with it.
Definitely.
Sir, the warp juices put on the diving suit.
Would you kindly build the webway?
I would.
Is a man not entitled to the webway?
Oh. I mean, the art's okay, so but yeah, like, it surprised me. I was like, really? Okay, all right.
Yeah, like, it's good art, but I was like, I didn't expect a deep sea diver. Expected, like, a servitor.
Yeah.
Besides that, I mean, its ability is okay. It's a 1/3. It choose 1 card from your deck and draw it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
My problem is, for 2 energy, it just seems like it's a lot to spend on this guy.
Well, especially for 1/3, I think
it's not good.
No, definitely, I can see that.
The ability is good. I don't like the cost.
I think his cost and his stats really. If you're doing a deck that can buff that quickly, or if you've got like Caliber Hell has got a lot of targets for mech and dendrites. This thing's got 3 health that you can play in one turn that you most likely can survive, and then play a mech and dendrite on your next turn, or just throw him away and refill 2 energy if you need to.
Yeah.
It's not a bad option. If you've got, troops or a warlord outside of the Mechanicum that can, play him and buff him or give him some sort of stat, like, his ability is okay. Choose a card and draw it. It's not just like draw a random card or draw a tactic or draw a troop. It's a choice of 3, but the stats of 1/3 make him very vulnerable. So unless you've got a way to support it or otherwise protect it, I don't think it's something you build around. I wouldn't include it unless I was doing like I said, like Mechanicum. I'm like, I need something cheap because my 2 drops in Mechanicum are either Secretary Peltasts, or if I'm doing vehicles, I'll do the Ro Tau and the Delta Psi. But if I'm not doing vehicles, that's it. Like, I don't have any other 2 drops, so this gives me a 2 drop option. But again, that's just for Mechanicum. I don't think it's going to be something people were like dying for all their cards. Although Agents of the Sigilate, I mean, it's not just like draw a tactic. It's choose like, hey, where's my seal? Let me go get it.
These days, agents just do not need any help drawing anything.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to say they do, but they certainly would enjoy it.
Agents can just casually have what they want when they need it.
As they
it's
should.
Interesting to see.
As they should. Listen, the Sigilate has been working hard to make sure they have what they need. The time
has to be the reverse Alpha Legion. So there you go.
I respect, but I disagree.
What are you guys' thoughts on the mission?
The mission, they nerfed it, which I didn't see coming. They did. For those of you who aren't aware, the reveal was they cost 0.
Yeah.
It fills your hand with Mechanicum vehicles?
Yes, Mechanic vehicles.
And then they cost 0s. So if you have 1 card in your hand, you now have 9 more that are 0 cost vehicles. They changed it to -5.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it, because while on paper that ability looks broken, the problem is I have to attack with a vehicle 8 times. That adds up.
That's a lot. That's a
lot.
Times.
Like, I was complaining about 3 turns with 2 troops earlier, and it was really kind of like a half complaint. I can easily think of decks that will do it. This is going to drive me up a wall. Just trying to do.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think you'll quickly be surprised.
I can think of Vorax. A Vorax is 2, so 2 Vorax is 4.
Right.
I guess I could completely do it with 2 Voraxes in my deck, and then 2.
And then not even two Voraxes and 1 Forge Fane.
And then 1, one
right, like
Forge
a Forge Fane.
But
my problem with that, I need things to hit.
Yeah, you just need to attack. That's flanking. What if you're doing White Scars?
True, White Scars will be able to do this.
Because everything that they're hitting you with is a vehicle for the most part, and they can do that more than 8 times before 7 energy if they really want to go that route.
Yeah, I can definitely see White Scars doing this.
Yeah.
But I feel like White Scars will just keep using their own mission, and this will be a niche build you can do if you want to.
I mean,
which is a shame, because I want to see this work with Mechanicus.
I want to do it, but I mean, like, outside of Mechanicum vehicles, there's probably only a couple of the factions that can make use of vehicles attacking. White Scars, I would say, would be one. You could argue Iron Hands, possibly.
Someone pointed out something funny to me about this one, and I didn't realize it. This just states any vehicles. The Iron Hand mission specifically states Iron Hand vehicles.
Yes.
Just to make Iron Hand users' life a little harder.
Yes, that's correct.
And I love that.
You could do Dark Angels, Custodes with their bikes, as well as the Telemon Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Which was...
I hate to say it, you can do it with Raven Guard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very easily.
They have flankers.
Yeah. And, I mean, just when you thought you were out of the works because you've got the stealth or they've got them on the back burner, suddenly they drop, like, a handful of Mechanicum vehicles that may or may not be low cost. Because even if they only get 1 Doombringer at 3 energy, but they also happen to have, 4 Castellixes at 0, what are you going to do about that board? Like... All right, it's still a very nice reward, and it works for several factions. The Mechanicum, I think, will probably have a lot of tools to make use of it, and especially if you've got a warlord who's gaining energy when you
Yeah.
play Mechanicum troops or anything like that. You've got Proctor, who's already buffing vehicles, so they're more likely to survive to attack. That's entirely possible, but it's not just like limited to them. I really think it's going to be fairly easier to do than the Solar Auxilia one.
Yeah, I do. I think it will too. My issue with this one, though, is 8 attacks on a lot of things I've already won at that point, depending on what I'm doing. Like, if I'm playing the entire time defensive, just taking out their troops, then yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't
I
have
still
the
feel
option.
like
Sometimes you have to
True.
attack the troops, or if they've got front line. So those attacks
true.
count too. It's not attack the enemy warlord. It's just make an attack.
Yeah,
I still feel a little like lukewarm on this one.
You have basically 6 troops that flank in a standard Mechanicum deck. If you want, you might have Knight Moirax do it. That's iffy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Forge Fane, which I don't know that anybody actually plays until maybe now, but it's good. It's doable. And you can just hook it up to like a really flank-happy group.
You can get even
just
more
kind of play
value
itself.
with Shadrach, Medusan, and those Voraxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
And
mean,
don't forget, too, they did get more flankers with this update.
they did. They got the
They got
2-3
Well,
frontliners who've got the Rally gain front line, or no, their front line. No, the Rally gain front line, they've got flank.
No, they have frontline, but it's rally
Is it-
control no troops can flank.
Is it the opposite? Am I thinking
Yeah, it's the
backwards?
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they've got the 7/7. If your opponent's got a vehicle, it gets flank, which is a rally.
The first neutral knight.
Which is pretty cool. I like the artwork for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really nice artwork.
A neutral knight now has more stats than a in-faction warlord titan.
He's got the
Remember that.
Hecaton Claw, and he's like, let's go.
He looks pretty badass.
It is pretty good. I have to give him credit. All the art this expansion was really good. It usually is. The art comes out strong. Yeah,
Good,
no,
interesting. Diver helmet. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even the Forge world, right? Greya, like it's clean.
Yeah.
I like the
it's
grip
good art.
pattern. I like the fact that the Mechanicum, they don't have Mars as a tactic just yet, but they do finally have a planet, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Although
I like
they
the
did have Cyclorath, so yeah, they had Cyclorath.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and that giant pile of cards that no one really plays unless they're just
Desperate.
Yeah.
weird or
Like,
they're
what are you
or
doing? I'm playing cards.
Yeah,
That's
they're
the-
forced to by not the events.
Let's see, this, another card gave me this card, and I really have no other options, and I just want to look like I'm not skipping my turn, so I'm going to play something.
Mm.
That's what that is. It's not a good thing either. Yeah, we got this Silax in the game, finally. Well, not really finally. I'm pretty sure there's some Silax representation until now, right? Isn't there like 1 card? 2 cards? Nope. I think that might be the first time we've got any Skylax. We have Skylax in the game now, and they look sick.
Mhm.
One of them's really good. Resolution put in play a frontline troop with 2/3. I like that. I like their stuff. I like their Moxie. Yeah, that's my take. Say. They got a infantry for 5/4 that's useless.
Oh, the Secutors?
Yeah, I guess I'll probably put that in a Robopope. Simply because it fits, and also because he has a stupid hat like Robopope. But
Yeah, this is
Theming is important.
this
True.
is a classic PvP event card. It's like,
Yeah.
I guess it's a card.
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I believe it was one of those that, Mr. Midnight previewed, and like it was kind of a small scandal because like you have your streamer previewing the cards. He's like, this isn't a very good card. So
I mean,
yeah,
it's true.
just not great.
It's true. It's like, all right, there you go. Move on. I mean, it's there. Will it stay that way?
I would.
Let's be fair. I mean, the
Yeah,
Mechanicum
I
do
would-
have some of those cards where it's like, this is just there's no, it's 4/6. That's it. There's no other stats on this card. It does nothing else.
really to call out Gamma Psi 24 like
I
that.
am, dude. Every time.
I
Gamma
only
Psi
know
or
his
12/7.
name because I was looking at him as you called him out because I was like, man, this card's useless.
Yep, I call that guy out, and I'll call out that 10 cost 12/7 all the time. Like
12. Oh, you mean the 12/8, the
12/8.
Manifold Talmud?
Yeah. At least that has
This
a
art is
passive.
also No, mana pool? No, it doesn't. It's just a 12.
Oh, am I thinking the 7/7 that generates mechadendrite when an infantry dies?
Yeah.
Vehicle dies.
Medical Tomo is just a giant dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, its art is awful. Menopol Tau Mew, for the folks at home, is just like a metal dude, but he's like 8 stories tall and he looks retarded. Pardon my language there. But he looks real bad. Like
He looks kind of like a dressed up sketch, yeah.
yeah, like it doesn't look right, and I don't know what's setting me off looking at him. It might be because he has a really dumb robot eye on the right side of his face that doesn't look right.
Might be that. It might be that he's only in like part of the image, like he's trying to peek in. Like, oh, you wanted to see a picture of the moon? Hey, I'm here. I'm here.
You joke, but there's a lot of Mechanicum art where it's like the main focus is peeking into the shot, and I want to know why. Like,
They're all kind of creepy dudes, so they're drawn creepily. As a kind of a rule, it feels like it's like a style rule.
Yeah, honestly,
I noticed some of them.
Yeah, I think that the ones that are less creepy are the ones in the Knights card pool. Actually, like those ones actually seem like very like here we're formal, you know. Like the artist and tech priest is just like, hey, I'm a tech priest, I'm chilling.
Hello,
you know.
Then you got Text Priest, Adjutant.
Yeah.
Who is just, I have tentacles coming out of my face. Do not question them. Or I don't know the answer either.
I know that some of the weird art choppiness is because they have like big 40K images and they're like, hey, we want this creature to be a card in the game. But you have to cut it at like a super weird angle to make it like be that on the card.
Well, yeah, but I've also noticed a lot of their art, especially the ones that tend to be really weird, aren't even in that case where they take it from the Collected Visions rulebook, right?
Yeah, but almost everything is from Collected Visions.
Oh yeah, a lot of it. But the art piece they're grabbing, they didn't even crop it for the card. It's just for some reason the guy who made that art's like, and only his right arm and top of his forehead is sticking into this image. And it's like, alright.
They probably suffer from the Liefeld paradox, right? Where they can't draw certain parts of the anatomy. So if you just have a part of that body off the page, you don't have to draw it.
You got a good point.
Well, it's no longer the 90s anymore, so you don't really have to endure the whole...
we need more shoulder pads.
Listen,
shoulder pads and big padded belts and mega guns.
I'm thinking of like 1st through 3rd edition Space Marines, where they're just super, super weird looking and hilarious.
Yes, where they're like somehow their head is as big as the shoulder pad. You know, the shoulder pad is just like a normal like size.
I love the photos of like what real life anatomy would look like for those guys. It's so good.
Yeah.
Their head is like in their chest. I think we beat the dead horse that is Mechanicum.
I'll
call him dead horse.
Yeah.
Yes, we got. Now we get to the winners of this.
That brings us to the definitely. These cultists are out of control. What's the deal with the cultists?
I expected that, and it still hurt me when it came.
They're out of control, Jay.
They're worshiping chaos out here, and they're making moves. If my card would load, I'd look at it. But
all but one of the cards that for the chaos is directly addressing cultists, and Blessing of the Four is obviously like you're gonna just be throwing cultists in so that they die.
Mm-hmm.
Is how you get that. So it's all cultists.
Yeah, Blessing of the Four that gives it to all your troops, right?
Yes.
You could just Death of Innocence into that card for a Greater Demon. I've seen people do that.
Multiple
and it's amazing
Greater Demons. I mean, really.
Yeah.
If you pull off like a Tagamata formation.
No, I have the true play. Death of Innocence. You're on Decima. You play Forge World, and this card costs I think like 3 or 4 energy. For 10 energy, you just put out 6 Greater Demons, or I think it's only 4 Greater Demons. 4 Greater Demons. That's the play. Once I get the cards to assemble this, boys, this is what we're doing.
It's good stuff.
I just want this card because I don't have the mission, obviously. But if I did have it, I'd put it in a Corpheron deck so I can finally have fun playing Corpheron.
It's very hard to make them work.
It is, and it's such a shame because so many people were excited for him. I wasn't. I wanted Narek instead, the word-bearer assassin who really wants to kill Lorgar. But Corsair is bound to come into the game.
We didn't even get him in the new Agents of the Sigilite cards either, which is sad.
Nope. Even though, it's not really like Narek is working for the Imperium either.
No.
I wouldn't even call him neutral. He's really still on the side of chaos. He just really wants to shoot Lorgar in the face, which I really respect.
I can commend that, yeah. I respect it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I really like all the cards. Preacher of Doom is nice. Basically just cycling your cultists.
Yeah, as long as you can keep the Preacher of Doom hidden and away from damage, it'll be really nice.
I feel like you don't even need to keep him hidden, because I can just have my cultists on board, ready to die. I play Preacher, my cultists die, they're all back in my hand, new replacements, and then Preacher he got me value.
Yeah, he's only 1 energy too, so it'll be really nice for that.
Yeah, you can play you can set stuff up with him. I like that. What else do I got going for them? Clandestine Cult. All my cultists in my hand are stealth now.
Right, they survived their first turn out.
For once. Mm-hmm. It's a Christmas miracle. No, I can't say much bad. I guess the only troops I really don't like is their Seized Chimera. Even then, it's not melgable. That's nice, at least.
The Cult Veteran doesn't seem excellent. He's kind of not great for his cost. And
I would like him more if he was a 4/4.
Yeah.
The HP is low because it's you want to trigger the sacrifice. But the issue is, a user with a Seek and Destroy, I don't ever see those anymore, but if you guys do, tell me.
Will do.
Really? But
I'm probably much lower rating than you guys.
Well, yeah, I'm just still surprised people run it when there's so many good replacements to it nowadays. But yeah, no, it's just anything. 3 damage can be found by anyone. You just gotta look a little bit. You could face slam it and then ping it for 1. 3 is nothing.
4 is kind of the magic number to make someone spend 2 cards or actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Or a card they wanted to hit you in the face with. Nothing hurts more than me wasting my Chariot of the God or what's the foreign Longinus?
Mm-hmm.
Into your troop instead of your face. That just hurts. I didn't want to do that. Don't make me do that. And yeah, I like everything there. Didn't even mention the mission. It's just have an Chaos Infantry die 6 times during your turn 6 times. It's what the word bearer
doing anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's
the word.
It plays in very similar to how the those missions where they just reward the Ultramarines. Raven Guard,
it's
going to reward you for what you're doing. Exactly.
The worst part is the mission and reward is what the word bearer one should have been.
I think this is the best mission for word bearers. I think they finally have a mission.
That'll be excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't bring word bearer mission, you bring Sacrificial Pawn, and guess what? It synergizes with a niche playstyle of playing infantry. It gives you a reward for that, and the reward doesn't hurt you. Folks at home who don't know, the reward is Relentless put in play 2 random cultists and give them flank. That it's free. It's going to play at the end of your turn and drain your energy for your next turn, like word bearers currently have, and it's not kill with another troop's effect, which is so oddly niche. I don't understand it.
They were trying to make one of their side mechanics pop a little bit harder. So
yeah.
Very mixed results at best, because it's even if you build a destroy my troops meme deck, it's this is awful because some of them can't destroy them quickly enough because it's ability based, and it's oh no. So it's really tough because you can't go that slow on word bearers because they just don't play that way.
No, they don't, and it's a shame. And also for the mission reward, cultists. Having 2 of them with flank, the only ones I wouldn't want with flank would be Wounded Zealot and Cygnus Acolyte. Because the rest of them either have really low HP but really high attack, so when they're flanking that's really nice, or they have an active ability, or you want them to stick around for a bit. I don't mind if my Cygnus Fanatic is one of my flankers if the other one dies instantly.
Or you could even get, you could low roll and still get that 1/3, and she's got flanking so she can pay an energy and give herself Mark of Chaos. If you
is she a cultist?
Isn't she? Or is she Davenite? She might be Davenite.
She's a Davenite, yeah. She's a Davenite, and Davenites are the black sheep of the cultist.
They don't count as cultists, those Daveniters.
Yeah. I mean,
Ultimate community.
Like chaos,
you can get a
cultist
horse
sorcerer,
cultist.
yeah, like let's flank and get myself a demon.
Theoretically, you could get insurgent leader,
Mm-hmm.
or you could even get cult veteran. Like you could get some good flank in there. You could get Tancred. Tancred could theoretically put in there and then just start pumping out Cabalists.
Yeah, I think the more cards I saw for the chaos, and obviously they have the bigger pool this go around, but it's like, man, where were these tools, 2 expansions ago, 3 expansions ago to really get cultists going? But then also it's like, wow, they can. I mean, now for the first time, I have some hard choices if I'm doing a cultist deck. Like I really have to decide, like which do I need more? Which do I want to go in what direction? Like you could put them all in there, but that's almost too much.
Yeah, my favorite part of this is the word bearer buff or word bearer expansion we expected last time.
Well, I think Rama's gonna be a popular boy. I think he's. I think he will. He's gonna be a popular boy again.
And I'm just happy to see some representation, even if it has to be him.
Really? At this point, I mean,
listen, stuff.
I'm tired of the Rama.
I'm not even scraping the bottom of the barrel because the bottom fell out. I'm looking through the straw.
You're just begging for anything at this point. You're like, look, I'll take Rom. Any day.
I will. I'll take Rom. Oops, all Roms. If I get to see some word bearers.
They put Lorgar back, so not everything is horrible.
Yeah, but he's not going to run this mission without being shot in the leg. Oops, all Roms is the only way at this point, gentlemen, and I don't know how I feel about that. Huh?
Well, I mean, altogether, looking at the whole expansion, I think we collectively agree that the Chaos has kind of got the top of the 3. But how would you guys rate this wave? I mean, the wave for all the neutrals, on a scale of 1 to 10. All collective. 3 missions.
I found something I liked in all of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's not as many just like out there tools that you can use that are really nice to see in neutral cards. They're all kind of focused on their own niches, but yeah, they certainly got some interesting things that you can play with them.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm giving it anything, I'll give it. I go with this number a lot, but it's just a nice 70%, like a 7.
Yeah, I think a 7's a good 6 or 7.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna call it 9, just because while there's some like iffy cards, the thing that really gets me going as a player is fun combos and theory crafting and theme decks, and you can do all of that with these. So there's you can spend a lot of time just screwing around with like your Raven Guard vehicle flank decks, just running double missions if you can't be convinced to do something more sane. Just the whole 9 yards. Pretty exciting.
I'm gonna go in that direction, but I'm not gonna go to a 9. I feel like an 8 for the same reasons. I like the fact that we've got neutral missions, which we joked about when missions were first introduced. What could it possibly be? And you could actually go one further if you want to go Dark Angels and get Forbidden Secret and the Dark Angels mission, and then throw in 2 or 3 neutral missions, and just like bank entirely on top deck draws and a deck. You probably will not accomplish any of those missions in that game. But
now bear with me. Loken can run 4 missions. Just saying. Just putting it out there. They'll all be in his hand at the beginning.
Yeah, I just think that it's got a lot of stuff to it, which I like. I like the vehicles. I like the cultists. I like the extras. Solar Auxilia. I like the fact that even though all of these cards are like Solar Auxilia themed, infantry themed, vehicle themed, they're neutrals, so they can do a lot for other builds. Sanguinious cultists, it's a possibility. Like, I mean, just imagine the reckoning, and you're going to be throwing away your stuff anyways. Like, there's so many decks that I'm already thinking of. Unfortunately, when I opened cards, the least cards I got was the Chaos cards. I was like, wow, I barely got any Chaos cards. What the heck? I got almost all the Imperial Army and Mechanicum. I think I'm missing like the missions, and that's it for them. But like next to no chaos cards. So sadly, I don't get to try out the cultists just yet. But I'll play an event, so I'll pick those up. But yeah, like there's just so many options. Like if you want to do like cultist Ferrus Manus, it's stupid, but why not cultist Lucretia? Like I mean, like just pick a warlord that is kind of troop based anyways. It's cultist salamanders. I mean, yeah, you don't need to necessarily give them Survivor with Numian, but then at the same time, you've got ways to bring them back if you want with Mount Deathfire on top of the other cards that you've got, and your opponent has got to decide: do I get rid of your Salamanders? Do I get rid of your cultists? I don't know. There's just a ton, and I think flanking will be more important if people go that route with cultists. ROM will be more important. 3 attack warlords, 3 attack options, but that's all part of the way the meta comes and goes, and at the same time, it's always cool when you've got stuff kind of shaking it up. Like stuff where it's like, oh, you thought you were going to get rid of my stuff? I'm just going to ping it, and now my infantry stealth, like, so you can't get that option. Like, or you pinged it, you hit it with the defensive satellites, but you didn't kill it, sorry. Sticks around for a little bit longer, it's in stealth mode now. You know? I think there's some really interesting things. Nothing out the gate crazy, although giving 3 marks of chaos to potentially a 6 board is ridiculous, but you worked for it. So you worked for it, you earned it. It's not like this card is Cacophony, you know, or this card is Marcus on release or something like that. I don't get those vibes, but I do get some.
Yeah, they didn't. I was going to say they made a base cost unplayable, which is good.
Yeah,
as in it's 12. You're not playing this on curve.
Yeah,
this isn't. Yeah, they were smart on that one.
Yeah,
nice.
I like the fact that we've got stuff here that is interesting and exciting to play. So yeah, that's a long way of saying that's me back into my 8 rating.
Yeah, I think fun is the goal, and that was done here. So yeah.
Oh,
Baleful assembly it.
Oh yeah, you can't baleful. You can do the troops. If it was all chaos cards, good grief,
it'd be hell.
Yeah,
for the everyday man.
Well, when you guys aren't playing Legions, what is it that you do?
Okay, so I'm a college student doing computer science.
Fun.
But yeah, I spend a lot of time playing games with my friends. On summer break still, I got like a month left. You know, I've been working on a 40K themed Dungeons and Dragons campaign, trying to get started.
Are you using the 5e rules, or
I am using the 5e rules, and I'm homebrewing all of my own stuff.
Oh, okay.
So
that's interesting.
They'll be playing as Death Watch.
Nice. Makes the most sense.
Oh, right.
Death Watch
it's a squad of 5 from different areas with different skills. Yeah, it makes the most sense.
Death Watch is one of the easiest ways to fit over like a party system of classic tabletop into 40K, besides something like you're in an Inquisitor's party.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's a chain of command with the guard or something like that. It just gets muddied. You don't want that.
Very cool.
Yeah. That's kind of it for me.
All right.
Nice.
Well, how about you, Tryhard?
Oh man, I've been in Vegas for month 8. So
8 months in Vegas?
So here it is.
Are you
in the
living
middle
here or
of
are you
July.
visiting?
You're in mid of July. You are now experiencing it. What do you think about the summer?
the true power of the warp is in Vegas. So yeah, so it's pretty exciting, frankly, to walk outside and you know it's insanely hot, but it's not lake effect humidity hot.
It's a dry heat.
Which to me is worse, lake effect heat. It's awful. So I've lived through a lot of that in my time, and this is like dangerous, no doubt, but would take it any time over that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like
something.
Oh, go ahead.
For those who at home who haven't experienced so-called dry heat, except in like Aliens, the overall thing is you walk outside and you're like, "Oh, this is great! How fun!" And then you walk back inside and go, "Oh, I have to go to sleep now." If you're not careful, you have to basically keep watered at all times because it'll just shoot out of your body at the slightest hint of anything going down. So it's a little bit dangerous, but it's also kind of fun. So just being this hot all the time is just kind of a new experience for me.
If you guys want it, we got like a lot of humid heat here, and it's hell. I'll trade with you. I'll take a dry heat right now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just been humid heat for the last week straight.
Yeah, hot is hot, but I mean, I would take no humidity over humidity any day. Like, there's no, like, it's like, oh, it's like 90 degrees with humidity. It feels like 100. I'm like, it's got humidity. Like, that's where you lost me. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, 120 degrees is hot. It's, if you want an experience, there was nothing more fun than coming home off a flight, get out of McCarran Airport, and those doors open, and it feels like you just stepped into an oven, and it felt comforting, and it was ridiculously hot, but it wasn't like, oh, I can't breathe. You can breathe just fine. You just quickly get a sense of the heat. But yeah, if you're not careful, it'll bake you. When you can see the heat waves off the street, off the sidewalk, and the temperature on asphalt is about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what they actually measure at the airport. It's definitely something to be aware of. But yeah, I was kind of curious because, I mean, those first summers, those can be pretty crazy in Vegas, that when you realize, like, oh, and it won't stop until about November. So you can look forward to that.
Right. Yeah, we moved in December when it's actually quite about as cold as Washington, where we moved from. And we did a vacation before that in like June, like right when the casinos opened back up, actually.
Oh, okay.
So I was able to cheat because I knew it was going to get to a point where it was 100 degrees in the dead ass of night. So I saw it coming, so I didn't like make a frowny face when it started happening again. So that's kind of cheating to me, but it's what I did. So overall, I work in the industry locally. I publish a board game, Dice Screaming, that I haven't really worked on since December with all the new stuff going on because I changed jobs, and actually like writing about Horus Heresy Legion stuff has taken up a lot of my writing energy when I'm not at work writing. So that's ongoing. But as far as like games, I mean, between the VR helmet and the new Steam Deck I just had arrive in the mail, plenty to do. I would say, looking down my list, if people are looking for like difficult to see games, like Hellish Quartz, really interesting. Done a lot of Aliens Fireteam Elite, which is kind of like one of the few Left 4 Dead likes that I really enjoy. Its own issues, of course. And then, you can't go wrong with like Tetris Effect, and they finally released a good WWE game for the first time in like 10 years last year, so that's been taking up a little bit of my time.
Is that a 2K game? Because the last WWE that I enjoyed was All Stars, because it was just arcadey, brawly fun.
Right. So the problem with the WWE games is they've gotten slower and slower and slower. Mm-hmm. This one, they've actually they took a year off because the last one before this was received so poorly that they knew they had to basically go back into the shop on it. Yeah. So this game basically plays like those 2010s games if they were actually like as good as they were trying to be. It's pretty good. Like in terms of just like the flow, it's pretty low on bugs, historically speaking. And it's fun. Like I had a long Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson match that's probably the best wrestling video game match I had in the last 10 years. And it's like, oh, this is pretty good. So they took the time and they did it right. Nice. Which is not nothing.
Yeah, like, for me, I think I enjoyed... it wasn't like overly simple, but I liked the SmackDown series, like combinations. And I felt once they started getting into like really breaking down the grapple complexes and controls, and it got too much. It was like, okay, you're making it more complicated than it needs to be, So
yeah,
if they've kind of gone back to what works as far as a base, there's a point where you add on too much and you really kind of detract from what the whole point of people came to that game series for to begin with.
Yeah, it kind of uses like light fighting game mechanics in terms of like your entire button pad Like I play on an Xbox controller, so your A and your X buttons. If you can defend against an attack by hitting an X button if they're using an X attack. That matters to the overall flow. It's harder to predict the grapples, which is actually kind of helpful. It's very detailed. With the moves actually look good for the first time in literally 10 years. Like I remember many years of just like, this is what you guys ended up with. This is what you're bringing me.
Yeah.
So
it's all their money went into the entrances, and then after that they're like, then there's a game.
Yeah, it's by no means the perfect game, but boy, is it a lot better. So there you go.
All right. Well, how
After
about
this expansion, we only have 3 missions left, right? You got the 2 Titan ones and Defenders of Caravan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that means the next expansion we get, January, it's going to be big. It's going to be Titans of Caravan. That's what it's going to be. I don't know. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
I keep hearing rumors about the Emperor showing up, even though he's basically a human MacGuffin. So we'll
rumors
see.
Besides, Everguild's been mentioning they want to and they need the green light. We have a confirmation he's getting a model and rules. So there's a high chance we're getting him.
On tabletop?
Yeah.
Really?
The recent book says you can also use these rules if your warlord is Janisha Kroll,
Right.
Constantine Baldor, or the Emperor of Mankind. And it just casually says that in one of the info boxes, and you read that and you go, I wonder what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder, they must have amused themselves putting that little tidbit in for people.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's funny you mentioned D&D campaign. I'm running mine as well, and I have had my players, I want to say this has gone on for about 3 weeks now, maybe 4 weeks. They had an encounter. They're like 14th level, and they all get stuff occasionally. I don't hand out a bunch of things, but sporadically they randomly can either find something or get something made. And they had this battle where they entered a room, and the paladin was searching, found a body which had an item that they were actually looking for, and then casually I just mentioned it's got a ring on its finger. He's like, oh my god, I want that ring. So he takes the ring. There was a common encounter that happened after that with an iron golem, and half of the tension was about oh, you took that ring, that's why we're doing this, and now so throw the ring away. So the thief convinces the paladin to throw the ring away. It doesn't change anything because I just threw it out there. It's this ring. And this combat encounter nearly killed 2 of them, and they finally make it out of there. The ring is buried in rubble, and the ranger picks it up, and he pox it, and he won't give it back. And this has gone on now for 3 weeks following this. The animosity of the players about this one ring, and it was just a ring of water breathing. And that's it. It wasn't even that. That's all the ultimately came to. But I was like, guys, this isn't just imagine if this was the one ring. Oh my god, it's true. It would be the end of you.
That's what I was thinking. They were fighting
understand
over
how
it.
quickly players will turn on each other. Yeah. So I've been running my campaign still. We're hitting a year anniversary here soon, and I'm halfway through. Only around halfway through. So it's been going good. A player called off today. Told me today he's calling off. So we're going to do a one-shot where I could put a bunch of random bullshit I've always wanted to see the players fight, but I've just never had a way to shoehorn it into the plot. So we're going to see how that goes. And yeah, it's going good. It's still humid heat, so I can't even paint my models, because there's no point in priming them in this heat.
Yeah.
But once that calms down, I'll have my 40k army being built. Probably going to do Alpha Legion, because I read their rules, and their rules are hilarious.
Nice.
Seems fun. One of the rules involves they're 2 inches further than they actually are on the table during an attack, so you can charge at them and it's nope, I'm further back. I find that hilarious.
I've been wanting to start a 40k army, unfortunately. It's a little pricey. There's a little bit of money that goes into that. I have been doing Star Wars Legion in the meantime, though. It's not a fun tabletop game.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, the models for that are pretty good looking. And that's Fantasy Flight Games, not their first foray into models at all for start, but that's the first foray they've got into kits where you can paint them yourself. They're not pre-painted or anything like that. but I've heard that that's a pretty fun game.
It actually got transferred over to Atomic Mass Games.
That's right. That's right. So, but they're still supporting it.
Yeah. It's still getting plenty of support. The mini Stravaganza is actually this weekend. We're talking about new stuff that'll be coming out in the next year. So we're getting Ewoks. So that's fun.
My God. They did it. They finally got to that point. I don't know. Now I don't know how I feel about it.
We're also getting Mandalorian stuff, like the Mandalorian, IG-11, Dark Troopers, Moff Gideon. So
and see,
that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
so.
that's fair.
No, you just said the sacred words when you said why are the Ewok? Yeah, you said the sacred words to trigger the scuff.
Yeah. Listen, if the Ewok, if it's a full Ewok army, and you're able to field that family from the Ewok Adventure, or better yet, like you actually just like field the party of Ewoks. Now, the Ewok Adventure, really quick for those who don't know, that was a made-for-TV movie. I don't know. There's two of them.
Is that the Christmas one, or is that a different one?
No, that's a different one. The Christmas special we shall not talk.
Oh God, the Christmas. Yeah, we should though.
The Ewok Adventure was a movie that was made for TV following Return of the Jedi and the introduction of the Ewoks, and it was prior to the Ewok cartoon series. Now that's a whole different thing. We won't talk about that just now, but it was highly entertaining. But it was about a family of humans that crash landed on Endor, and they had to figure out, like, oh, what do we do? And then they chanced upon these Ewoks, but mom and dad got kidnapped by some bandit space pirates, so the Ewoks had to help the two children, the boy and the girl, make their way across Endor and rescue mom and dad and battle Endor creatures of Rancor caliber ferocity. And they did that, and you're like, wow, it was so successful, so beloved, and so that they brought it back. They did Battle for Endor. And Battle for Endor, boy, let me tell you, listen, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I am going to spoil it for you because it's been, 30 years. The movie starts off with the entire family being killed except for the child, the daughter. And so like right off the gate, you're like, oh, I remember these characters. Like 5 minutes in, they're dead. There's raiders come in, Nikto and Weequay raiders come in, and just like hack them down, blow up the place. The daughter, she's like 6 years old. She's like, which I believe was rumored or is true, was played by Drew Barrymore. And she like runs screaming to the Ewoks, and Wicket saves her. And then these, she has to like somehow find another human, and they have their battle against these space pirates who are actually led by a witch. And when I say witch, I don't mean Witch of Dathabar. Like she literally like polymorphs herself into a raven. Like it was like at the height of Willow and Return of the Jedi, and it like mished everything all together. It gets crazy. Anyways, long story short, that character, the daughter, somehow escapes and grows up and like is rescued from Endor. And in the old extended universe canon, actually appeared as a news correspondent, and so she actually had a story and a happy ending after the fact.
We did it, boys.
But
we thought this episode wouldn't have Star Wars.
No, once you
but
said
it showed
Ewoks, up. Listen, boy, I could talk about Ewoks. Oh,
why do you hate the teddy bears, or why do you love the teddy bears?
You know what? As a kid, I loved them. They were aimed right for me. They were the best part, and I think it was about 17 when I was like, I don't want to watch anything in Return of the Jedi except the Death Star 2. I was over Jabba's palace. I was over the Ewoks. I was almost over the duel between Vader and Luke, but at the same time I was like, it's got its moments. I really just wanted to watch the Rebel fleet engage the Imperial Army fleet, and that was it. I didn't even want to see, Han and Leia down there on Endor, or, like that whole battle of Endor. ATSTs, I was over it. Whatever. Just give me X-Wings, Star Destroyers, Monocod Cruisers. Give me It's a Trap.
Are you telling me you don't like these space teddy bear Viet Cong?
I mean, listen, they are ferocious. Like, I love the fact that
they
kept them.
They are stupidly ferocious.
Did you ever play Ewok Hunt in Battlefront 2?
Yes, I did.
It's terrifying.
People forget, like, the end of Return of the Jedi. You're like, they're playing drums with the helmets.
It's a genocide.
They ate those stormtroopers. Like, that's what they were going to eat, Luke and Leia and Han. They ate the troopers. They're cannibalistic.
They're bears.
That's what happened.
They're not cannibalistic. They're just bears.
Wedge Antilles and Lando Calrissian are palling around, and they're all, like, eating, like, meat, and that meat is the stormtroopers. I'm telling you, it's crazy, but think about it. Anyways, Ferocious Ewoks, that's really interesting. I can't believe that they put them in Legions. And that is my tie-in, because we're talking about Horus Heresy Legions. We'll get back to that.
There's no tie. We're in the outro. There's no need for a tie-in.
Just a small tangent there.
That's it. Listen, but I'll tell you what. Can you name 3 Ewoks? I can name several. I can name Logray, Chief. Chief.
Chief Chirpa.
Chief Chirpa, Tebow, Wicket, Papalu.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. I didn't even remember that they were ever referred to by name.
Wow, you did, well, you know what?
Wicket was the only one in the movie.
Yes, correct. And Wicket was played by.
Was it Wicket even?
Yes, he was Wicket. He was
Wicket.
Was he
That's
named? Right.
Was he named in the movie?
Wicket K. Warwick was played by Warwick Davis, and it was really cool. The only good thing about Rise of Skywalker was at the end when you see Wicket and his child, it's actually Kevin Warwick reprising his role with his kid playing the kid of Wicket. So that was a nice full circle moment. But outside of that, the rest of the movie was terrible and garbage. But I mean, that's a whole different thing. And then we're talking to the next trilogy. Listen, I gotta stop. I'm gonna rant hard. And
hey, folks at home, if you're like me and you like Legions, but you know Star Wars is just a thing. Hey guys, welcome to Scuff's Star Wars podcast.
We can start a Star Wars podcast.
He has a gun. I'm scared.
Listen, I have a spear, I have a catapult, and I'm not afraid to use it.
A bag of fireflies.
Yes.
Bag of
I'll
whiskey.
say this for the people who are still listening at this point. I'll say I'm needs food badly on Discord. So if you want to get me to kind of like get back more into the game than I am right now of Horus Heresy Legions or anything else, hit me up. So
there you go.
I'm kind of
getting us back on track with the plugs. Right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Plug yourself.
S.Striker, do you have anything you would like to plug?
I have nothing I would like to plug. Please don't contact me. I'm kidding. If you want to talk about the game, that's fine.
Please don't call me. I don't want to talk to any of you.
All right. How about you, Axel? Any plugs?
I'm gonna plug my boy Dorn. That's Drew Lee Clark on Instagram. He does beautiful art. I mean, that's not much more to say. That's my boy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna plug deck slots because you know it. Because I was doing the count today, and we have no deck slots, so we need them hard.
You know, you say that every episode, even when we don't get additional ones. Do you just do like a daily count?
I do. Every day, actually. I take a look to see, especially today, because today we got several game updates. So I was like, did they do it?
True.
They did.
I thought we got an extra row about 2 weeks ago.
We did,
but that's not enough.
Not enough, because actually,
it's perfectly enough for me.
It just brings us up to having enough slots, not even for the Sisters of Silence. So we need it.
Yeah, I need a row for every faction personally, and we're way beneath that. So,
I mean, we could do just a single row, not additionally in total. I'm just saying.
Row, you say?
One row.
One row.
One row.
Multiples, but yeah. Outside of that, I don't have anything else to play or plug. So that's it, guys. I want to thank you guys both for taking the time and being on the episode tonight, representing the active Redders of the Horus Heresy Legions community. And it was nice talking to you. We'll have to do this again at some point. And we've got a couple more episodes, I think, in the future where I've got a couple folks from Reddit. So it's nice to get more people engaged that we haven't had before. So it's really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. If you ever want to bring me back, just send me a message.
All right.
Striker, which person are you on Reddit, or am I allowed to know?
I want to be contacted.
I think I still have the S_Striker on Reddit.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Very well. I'll stalk you then.
All right.
I understand.
I'm not allowed to contact you, is the thing.
Yes.
So there you go.
You just have to stalk you from afar.
Please don't talk to me.
You'll just have to.
You know what?
Right.
I respect the hustle.
All right.
Yeah, if you guys want to send me something, go ahead. I don't care.
That's it
all
for
right.
us. So thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
It ends here.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
I can't help but appreciate your talents.
It was inspiring.
I need some